There's this great quote from one of the original Winnie the Pooh books, where Pooh and Piglet are walking home at the very end of the day. After a long silence, Piglet asks Pooh a question. "When you wake up in the morning, Pooh," said Piglet at last, "what's the first thing you say to yourself?" "What's for breakfast?" said Pooh. "What do you say, Piglet?" "I say, I wonder what's going to happen exciting today," said Piglet. Pooh nodded thoughtfully. "It's the same thing," he said. This is not only an excellent quote from an excellent book, but it holds a simple and profound truth about what it means to be happy. One of the main unspoken themes of Winnie the Pooh is Pooh's relative simplicity of mind in comparison to his friends. All the other animals look for happiness in a variety of places. Owl seeks gratification by looking more intelligent than everyone else. Rabbit seeks gratification by being more busy than everyone else. Eeyore seeks it through being the object of others' pity, and Piglet looks for meaning in exciting events and accomplishments, just as long as they don't involve anything too far outside his comfort zone. Pooh, however, makes a stark contrast with those around him, and it's probably for this reason that he seems to be almost the only one among his friends who lives mostly contentedly. Pooh doesn't go to great pains to chase after happiness and satisfaction, but rather he finds it in the simple joys of the world he lives in. A morning meal, an afternoon nap, an evening stroll through country he likes. These are the sort of things that Pooh's happiness is made up of. I grew up on Winnie the Pooh, and like many people, as a child, I saw nothing in it but a pleasant story. However, as I get older, the stories take on a whole new meaning for me about life and what it means to be happy. I'm starting to realize to a greater degree that the simple pleasures of life really are important, and today I want to talk about just one element of these pleasures, the element of ritual. When you take a look at all the religions, clubs, societies, or basically any organized system of people, you can realize that almost all of them have at least one thing in common. Most of them contain some kind of ritual. And I'm not talking about ritual in a religious or spiritual sense. What I mean by ritual is some process or habit that is always done the same way, often at a regular and specific time. Examples of ritual can include the way your family used to celebrate a certain holiday, or even just the way you do a particular chore every day. The human race is a ritualistic species. Even outside of the human race, the entire natural world revolves around times and seasons, where there's an appointed time for specific things that are done in specific ways. The seasons follow each other in a regular pattern. Animals align their sleeping patterns to the cycle of the sun. Plants follow regular, yearly patterns of bloom and decay. These natural rhythms add structure to our lives, as well as a feeling of peace and well-being when we adapt our lives to them. Nowadays, we tend to wake up and go to sleep at random times, eat whatever is available whenever we can get to it, and just generally live with very little regularity in most facets of our lives. But human beings never used to live this way. Before electric lights, you really had no choice but to go to sleep approximately when the sun went down and wake up approximately when the sun came up. You couldn't work any longer than that. Although food was not always readily available, when it was, there were regular times for eating, and one could often have at least a rough estimation of what would be on the menu according to the location and the season. Cultural rituals were also an important part of daily life within whatever community you lived in. Whether we realize it or not, ritual is extremely important for human beings, and has even been shown to significantly reduce anxiety and stress in scientific studies. It may seem a little overwhelming to add rituals to your life, because it often seems like just one more thing to put on your checklist. But integrating rituals into your life doesn't have to be difficult. Here's a few really simple things that have worked really well for me. 1. Choose at least one meal a day that you can have at a regular time. Breakfast works really well for me personally. Every day I eat breakfast at 9:30, and I choose between one of my two favorite breakfasts. I pretty much only eat one of these two meals for breakfast, and I usually have it with some sort of warm drink. I try not to eat this while working on other things or while going anywhere, but rather to have at least a small quiet moment of savoring the food I enjoy and the cozy feeling of my drink. This is a ritual that I can count on every day and that brings me a lot of satisfaction. 2. Make a list of 5 things you can do every day no matter what. In general, I try to be adaptive during my day and to not hold on to any plans too tightly, but I do have a list of 5 things that I will always do no matter what the day brings. I make them simple and fairly easy so that the list doesn't feel overwhelming, but I always make sure to do those 5 things before I go to bed, no matter what. I think it really helps when making this list to focus on things that make you happy, that are important to do during the day, or that put you in touch with simplicity that you might otherwise be lacking. I call these things my Big 5. Some examples of things that go on my Big 5 are spending time outside, taking a walk, reading a book I enjoy, studying from spiritual or philosophical texts, cooking with my own hands, cleaning something up around my house, or writing in my journal. An important point when making a Big 5 is to allow it to change when it feels like it's time. You definitely don't want to be changing these every day, but let them switch up every so often to meet your needs. I usually keep my list for about a month or so and then end up swapping 1 or 2 things at a time. Again, make these things easy enough so that you can do them every day without fail. Now finally, I know I've already alluded to this one a few times, but if it wasn't clear enough before, I think one of the most important things is to get outside. I really recommend getting out in nature as much as you can to experience what each season brings. A lot of the simple beauty in the world is experienced out of doors. Getting out as much as you can helps you to appreciate the world for what it is. And besides, fresh air is good for you, just like your grandma always said. Honestly, I think there are a lot of things we can do to better appreciate the simple goodness of life, and these suggestions are by no means exhaustive. My goal is just to try to get you started, so that you can figure out some rituals that work for you. Embracing natural simplicity in life creates a safe place from the breakneck pace of today's world. A safe place where we can feel the rhythm of the universe, and like Pooh Bear, enjoy the beauty and joy that is all around us. Thank you for watching. Peace and blessings.